Attention, small business owners and creatives. Are you looking for the perfect audience to share your brand story with? Well, the Girl Get Up podcast reaches ambitious professionals across key markets filled with decision makers in government, tech, and business, such as DC and Texas. But here's what makes this opportunity special. Our listeners span 33 countries across 6 continents. That means your brand has both national impact and global exposure. Whether you're offering productivity tools, online courses, women's empowerment products, or services that support career growth or entrepreneurship, this audience is for you. The Girl Get Up audience are filled with action takers who invest in their development and support brands that aligns with their values. And we're growing organically every week. The Girl Get Up podcast has loyal listeners and a community of dreamers and doers who are ready to discover brands like yours. Are you ready to connect with an audience that's already listening? Or visit my stand store or send me a message to explore sponsorship packages designed specifically for small businesses and creatives. The Girl Get Up podcast is the podcast where your brand meets your people. Now let's get into the episode for today. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Girl Get Up podcast. I am your host, the Aquarian Chancellor, and this is the podcast where I share my stories. I bring my guests on, they share their stories, or we dig into a little bit of celebrity stories, all in hopes that it inspires you, the listening audience, to go out and discover your infinite possibilities. So today is going to be a straight from the red carpet segment. Y'all know we dig into celebrity stories and we try to get the lessons from them that we can use for our branding and for our business. Picture this. I'm driving in the car on my way to the grocery store, and typically I don't listen to the radio that much. Like I like talk radio. But I just so happened to hear the radio DJ make an announcement that Gucci Mane is coming out with a new book. This is not his first book. Let me say this. It's not his first book. His first book came out in 2017, I believe, and it was an autobiography talking more about his path into stardom and becoming a widely known trap artist. The name of this book, the new one that's going to be coming out tomorrow, is called Episodes: Diary of a Recovering Madman. This book is going to be detailing his addiction and his battle with mental health. He's going to be getting real. He's going to be getting raw and unfiltered. So I already ordered my copy. I like him. He's always been a very interesting character to me. Starting with the tattooing of the ice cream on his face. You know, that was very controversial because everybody was like, what is this man up to? But one thing that I could tell about Gucci was that he was very intelligent. And before he had even met his wife, he had already been making noise, you know, like I said, on the underground scene and even coming into the mainstream with the music. And so that was his particular entrepreneurial journey and stuff like that. So I'm interested to learn more about his journey and what he can teach the audience about self-care, mental health, advocating for men and mental health. So I'm excited to see what I learned. But let's go ahead and get to this version of Straight from the Red Carpet. Learn some lessons that from the story of Radric Delantic Davis, aka Gucci Mane. So I'm excited about this one because not only are we going to be talking about Gucci Mane, but we're going to be talking a little bit about Miss Keyshia Ka'Oir. But before we get there, let's start from the foundation. Radric Delantic Davis, aka Gucci Mane, born February 12th, 1980 in Alabama. Gucci Mane's dad was a serviceman. He was in the service, and then he also worked in a power plant, and his mother was a social worker. So in the beginning, well, really before he was born, his father kind of like left the family because he was on the run, according to sources. But because his father, left, he abandoned him when he was a baby. That his dad's mom, kind of came in, helped out his mother, Gucci's mother, while she went on ahead and pursued a degree. She took care of 2 boys. He has a brother, in which, by the way, his brother was the one who kind of introduced him to like those early hip hop artists. You have LL Cool J, Run DMC, all of those artists. He kind of like developed a love for hip hop at an early age. So like I said, so his father left. He went to, I think the article stated that he went to like Detroit or something like that, but then he later on settled down in Atlanta, which is where his mom eventually moved. And he graduated 3.0 GPA and also had a scholarship to a college, which he did not take advantage of. So he was very smart, and he also had the physical ability and agility to be able to be good at sports. But again, he did not, try to apply himself in those areas. He chose the street. Sometimes our choices don't align with our potential. But the one thing about this story, which is the reason why I chose to feature it, is that was not his end all be all. Tapping into his musical journey now. So as a youth, Gucci loved writing poetry. Like I said, he was into the Run DMCs, he was into the LL Cool J's and stuff like that. So eventually, with his love of hip hop, he began to write raps and began to rap himself. And eventually he released his first album, which is in 2001. That was called La Flare. As a artist, like, he looked up to Master P. So not only was he an artist, but he built a business around the label. Like, it was more than just music. Gucci had ideations of being an entrepreneur. After his 2001, like, that was his underground introduction, he continued to make music. He dropped his first debut album called Trap House, and he did that under an independent label. His next album, which was in 2006, called Hard to Kill. After his 2006 release of Hard to Kill came Freaky Girl. Now that was the one. That one hit, I think, Billboard 100. And so after that, I think after that song, he was signed to Atlantic. So since then, things kind of took off for him. And by 2009, Gucci Mane had guest appeared on over 17 songs by other artists. Even though he had one of the hardest work ethics, he was consistent, he still had other issues that kind of prevented him from really being able to take off the way that he should. So let's talk about some of those struggles. In 2005, Gucci was, according to sources, he was attacked at a house in Decatur, Georgia, where it resulted in a tragedy. Gucci ended up going to trial for that. That charge was dropped against him. And that wasn't his first brush with the law. Other things started to come up in a 2010 incident that landed him in a mental institution because of him being found driving on the road in the opposite direction. So he had quite a few bouts with the law. Him being in and out of jail, coupled that with being in beefs with people in the industry. So his behavior for a long time it had been erratic. His downward spiral had a lot to do with the allegations of the drug use and being under the influence a lot. And so he needed help. He needed help to really get his mind clear about what he was doing and where he was going and what was important to him. Like I said, he's always been focused on the music. But when you have other things that are taking you away from your potential, then you have to stop and take a look and have a sit down. So that last jail stint that he did was that sit down, and it was a sit down, but that also opened up the door for Miss Keyshia Ka'Oir. Now let's talk about the marriage with Miss Keyshia Ka'Oir and ultimately being the rebranding into the Gucci Mane that we see today. This is the good part. So now how they first met was he had been locked up during that time, and he had his attorney, was it his attorney or manager or somebody, reach out to her after seeing her in a XXL magazine, wanting her to be featured in his 911 emergency rap video. So of course she did it. After the shooting of the video, they did keep in touch. Now Keyshia Ka'Oir was no anything person, because during that time she had her own thing going on. She was the founder of Ka'Oir Cosmetics, and also she had Ka'Oir Fitness, and later on she ended up throwing a hair company in there. So she'd already had her own thing going on. What's interesting is she said she was hesitant on really dealing with him like that. However, when the last jail stint had came up, he gifted her $2 million. Now, she said she didn't want to take it. It took her a while to even accept the money, and I can kind of understand. I can kind of see that being true, because this man is a complete nut. I do not want to take this man's money. What if something happened to this man's money, or something happened to him? This is what she said, and I could totally see that being a real thing. But she took the money, and by the time he got out, she had tripled his investment. So she went from the $2 million that he gave her, and by the time he was released from prison, it was $6 million. according to the story. He got out 2016. Then he proposed, because over the years, this is like from her own mouth. I was listening to clips of her talking. For her, she never left his side, because in her mind, she's like, this man needs some help. And she been like his confidant to a degree. And for him, according to some of the sources that I read, like, he always had a thing for her. In jail, she said that they would talk. And he was like, oh, I'm going to marry you. And she'd be like, whatever, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I don't think so. So they had been able to develop a relationship while he was behind bars. And so when we talk about getting yourself prepared to get on the path of purpose, it starts with the mind first. That's the reason why, depending on what your path or what's here for you to accomplish, part of that is you being in a position, or being in a situation where you're gonna have to sit by yourself, and that's going to be voluntary, or at times, and like in Gucci Mane's situation, it was involuntary. However the case, though, while he was there, through their friendship and influence, and we're going to talk about the influence again in a second, she had been able to plant seeds in his mind that by the time that man had left those four walls behind and those bars behind, he had a complete mindset shift and a complete, like, physical. He didn't even look the same. He had got off the lean. He had got off the alcohol and the drugs and stuff like that. So whatever he did in there to get himself cleaned up, kudos to him. When that man walked out of those doors and left those bars behind, he proposed, and both him and Keyshia Ka'Oir, now Keyshia Ka'Oir-Davis, has secured a 10-segment TV series called The Main Event of a wedding that BET paid for. So he walked out of the jail with a whole deal. That right there was the starting point of rebranding Gucci Mane. You got to have the right people in your corner. She showed herself a good steward by taking the money and investing it. But not only that, she stood by his side, not even realizing that man had every intentions on fulfilling his promise to her. Let's continue on. So that man went from a drug addict, volatile, mental patient, to happy, healthy husband, multi-millionaire. BET was the beginning of the rebrand. Let's talk about the power partnership, because I don't think Gucci Mane would have been able to do that by himself, only because of his past. So it had to take somebody that, like I said, planting those seeds already, getting him prepared. She was getting that man prepared while he was behind bars, feeding it, just pouring into him. She was saying that he was writing letters and stuff about stuff he wanted to write rhymes about, and he be saying he wanted to get back at certain people. She was like, we ain't about to put that out. No, you still got work to do. I mean, she was just already handling him long before them bars opened up. She was getting him prepared. But that didn't happen overnight. In a recent Essence interview, Keyshia Ka'Oir said something that was very controversial. She said
He don't got to do nothing. I do everything for that man, but not because I have to, though. I want to. I enjoy taking care of him. I enjoy just being happy. I enjoy him just being happy. Going to the studio and doing music. I don't want him to have to worry about the bills, worry about what he got to eat, worry about nothing. The wife takes care of everything else, and I love doing it. And if I don't do it, I would be miserable. And it kind of gave us this traditional wife versus the boss babe. And so it kind of had women talking, despite what anybody's relationship it looks like. What she basically is talking about is the partnership part of their marriage, and any marriage, honestly, because marriage is a business, despite what you think. That's why you have to get a license, because it is a business. Marriage is it's a partnership. What she's saying is that she is his handler. Now, when you hear in the industry, in a more people or platforms that talk about the industry in more the occult symbolization, you might hear their word, right? But in this case, we're talking about a marriage. This is so deep. Go back to 2010, 2011 when they first met, and his behavior and just how she had been able to handle him since then and pour into that man and plant seeds of progress into that man. You got to be careful who you are in partnership with, who is handling you. In this case, it worked out because that man has been able to flourish since meeting her. Why? Because she is a woman. She creates, she produces, and she multiplies. This lady had her own business. She had her own brand. She had everything to lose messing with him because of his behavior and how volatile. Remember, she said she was like, I don't know about this one right here. She was very hesitant. Why? Because she already had a brand. He was a liability to her brand. But she knew business. And she showed herself approved. She was a good steward of the money. Through the marriage, remember, strategic partnership, as she stated, she handles everything. The only thing that man got to do is go to the studio and create the very thing that brings money into the house. You go perform, you go create, you go make money. And then I'm handling the operations. I'm handling the home. I'm handling the finances. I'm paying the bills. I'm making sure that the food is on. She is managing every aspect of what goes in and what goes out. It is a partnership. And only two people can be in that partnership. Legally, when it comes down to signatures and when it comes down to who's doing what and who got access to what, it can only be one, baby. So her formula and how she was able to multiply the 2 million, this is what she said: own your own brand, avoid debt, and leverage influence. Own your own brand. She came into the friendship or the partnership or whatever, already having established her own brand. She was a model. She had her makeup line. She had her fitness line. She was in the videos. She was a video girl. So she already was known. So ladies, take a note from the handbook. Already have your own stuff going on. Because it goes far beyond a cute face and a big butt. Okay. Avoid debt. Use the money that you are bringing into your home or into your business. Use that to take care of your business expense. Do not take out business credit. You want to avoid the debt. That comes with interest. You want to avoid the debt, and you want to leverage your influence, because that is going to be what's going to connect with your audience. You want to be able to get them to purchase your products, your services, to invest in you. Use your influence to do that. You're going to be networking. You're going to be meeting people. You're going to be getting out, shaking hands, kissing babies. You're going to be traveling, making business connections. You're going to be doing those things. She was doing it all by herself. She had a no debt approach and used direct to consumer sales and grassroots branding. Meaning she's out there, she's connecting directly to her fan base. Okay? Their partnership foundation is not competition, it is collaboration. They both had their own successes in their entrepreneur ventures. His was music, hers was the fitness and the cosmetics, and now hair. So let's talk about some actionable steps, because of course I can't let you all go with, and that, you know what, that's a whole nother topic. I would like to go deeper into that whole marriage and why it's important to protect the institution of marriage. To each his own, but there is a reason why marriage is important and the institution of marriage. And yes, it's so deep. It's so deep. But when we're talking about healing generations and stuff like that, it has everything to do with assets and being connected to something tangible. Okay, let's talk about some actionable steps and quick wins that we can take from the story of Keyshia Ka'Oir and Gucci Mane. When we hear their story and their journey and how he had been able to transform from like I said, mental health and struggling with addiction to now being an advocate for men's mental health and sobriety, he used several methods to accomplish this. And one of those major methods was writing a book. Now, there are many, many, many benefits to writing a book as someone of influence and someone of note. A number one reason for people writing books, whether it's an autobiography or what, is to be able to control the narrative and set the record straight about their life using their own words. And for this particular couple, that is important. He gets to tell his story from his own mouth. Reason number two for someone of note or notoriety or influence to write a book is to expand your brand and expand your influence far beyond the people who might just know you for music or know you as a rapper. Now he has strategically been rebranded. Remember I said that man walked out of prison with a daggone deal for a $10 episode series on BET for the wedding. So now he a totally new person, and he has transformed himself to a thought leader and a respected voice on recovery and mental health for men. Man, Gucci Mane got a story of a lifetime. Like, when you really sit back and analyze that, like, that's some really powerful stuff. It really, really is. So I was talking about actionable tips, and that number one was controlling the narrative, and that being the number one powerful tool that any business owner, you do not have to be a celebrity to write your own book. You get to control the narrative about your business. You get to control the narrative about your brand. It builds trust. It builds authority. And it also is an asset to leave behind. Okay? Diversifying your brand. That's one thing when we talked about, like I said, with Keyshia Ka'Oir, she started with the makeup, she started with fitness, and now she expanded that to include hair. Okay, so you yourself can launch a side venture outside of your main hustle. You can also create your own streams of income. One thing that I get from their story is resilience. Now, with this new book, he is talking about prioritizing his mental health. So for you, what that would look like is you also prioritizing your mental health. I've been very open about this business journey. Like, it will take you through many, many challenges with self. And for you, documenting those challenges, and you can, by doing that, you can also documenting you overcoming those challenges. And that's really important also for what you're going to create in the future. But if you are in service where you are coaching, that is going to become your framework. It's about choosing partners for multiplication. People who are going to be multipliers in your life, and that don't even have to be in your marriage. It can be people that you choose to work with. It can be people that you choose to do business with. You're going to choose to work with people who are able to create and produce and not take. It has to be the right person. So we talked about that. How was she able to do that? On everything, on your own brand. Don't take any debt. Use your influence and sell directly to your consumer. And which is the reason why social media is critical these days to business owners, because it gives you access directly to your consumer. Okay. I'm going to give some red carpet rules. Red carpet rule number 1, recovery is possible. Gucci's story proves that you can come back from rock bottom. Mental health struggles, addiction, legal trouble, none of it was the end of Gucci Mane or his career. With the right person, with the right partnership that poured into him, he was able to come out and create a new chapter for himself and for his family. Which leads us to red carpet rule number 2. The right person multiplies your success, not takes from it. And in this situation, him getting with Keyshia Ka'Oir, she tripled what he was with his investment or his gift or whatever. But not only that, it wasn't even more about that. During that whole time, she was mentally pouring into that man to get him to even start thinking well beyond his current circumstance. Put the money aside. Put the money aside. Is what she was able to spiritually pour into him that made him who he is today. The money was just the icing on the cake. And let's touch on red carpet rule number 3, which is reinvention requires accountability. Gucci couldn't have transformed without addressing his mental illness, getting sober, which is why he had to be sat down for a few, because he needed to be sober. He had to detox and get all that crap out of his mind and out of his spirit so that Keyshia can come in and pour something else in there, which helped him be able to improve and maximize his life and his business. All right, now, whew, baby. All right, so I want to hear about what you think about what we talked about here on Straight from the Red Carpet. I learned so much just by listening to this story. I learned so much about business. I've learned so much about branding and strategic partnership, marriage, and their story, Gucci Mane and Keyshia Ka'Oir-Davis. Their story is really one about transformation. She believed in him while he was there fighting for his transformation. So to have somebody in your corner, it just shows you the power of the right person to come in and truly change your life for the better. Okay, so thank you for joining me on this segment of Straight from the Red Carpet. And if this story resonates with you, please share it, leave me a comment. Take care, everyone. I will see you next episode.